Every time you hesitate before speaking, something happens behind people's eyes. They start calculating. Are you offended? Are you scared? Are you about to fold? Are you about to explode? Are you about to enforce something? That calculation is the real conversation. Most men sabotage themselves because they can't tolerate being measured, so they rush to clear things up. They rush to show they're not angry. They rush to prove they're not weak. They rush to keep the peace. They think they're being mature. They're being managed. Silence is how you stop being manageable. Not forever, not dramatically, just long enough to break the script and force everyone else to reveal theirs. In this video, you'll learn how to stay silent without becoming passive, how to spot the 3 break styles, how to handle escalation, and how to respond in one sentence that ends the game. Say nothing. Watch who breaks first. As Machiavelli said,
"The person who cannot control their tongue rarely controls their emotions."
Let's begin. Most men think silence is passive. That is because they have only experienced weak silence, the kind that begs to be noticed, the kind that hopes someone will ask, "What's wrong?" That is not silence. That is bait. Strategic silence is different. It is not absence. It is a test of nervous systems. When you say nothing, you remove the usual comfort people use to stabilize themselves. No reassurance, no reaction, no quick answer they can manipulate, just a blank surface. And blank surfaces do something terrifying to human beings. They force projection. People fill silence with whatever they most fear. The insecure will assume disapproval. The controlling will assume resistance. The needy will assume abandonment. The honest will assume you are thinking. The mature will wait. The immature will scramble. That scramble is what you are looking for. When you speak too quickly, you help people hide. You give them your emotions to mirror. You give them information to adapt to. You give them time to craft a mask that fits your mood. Silence removes their mask because it removes their script. The first person to break is not always wrong, but they are always revealing something. They might reveal anxiety. They might reveal dominance. They might reveal guilt. They might reveal addiction to control. But they reveal. And in power, revelation is value. This is why silence has been used in courts, interrogations, and negotiations long before modern self-help made it into a communication tip. It works because the human brain hates uncertainty more than it hates discomfort. If you do not give clarity, people will manufacture it. And in that manufacturing, they leak. Picture a simple scenario. Someone throws a small insult disguised as humor. The room expects you to react. If you laugh, you pay. If you get sharp, you pay. If you explain, you pay. But if you pause, calm, and say nothing for 2 seconds, the room feels a shift. The insult does not land. The tempo dies. Now the attacker has to deal with their own move hanging in the air. That is the moment they show who they are. The weak attacker will backpedal. The strong but insecure attacker will escalate. The manipulator will try to rewrite reality with "I was just joking." The ally will change the subject. The coward will laugh louder to recruit the group. The leader in the room will notice the power shift and go quiet too. Silence is not just a weapon. It is a mirror that forces people to meet themselves. Your job is not to use silence constantly. Your job is to deploy it at the moments that reveal the most. Moments of accusation, moments of bait, moments of unfair demands. Moments where someone wants to force you into a defense. Say nothing. Watch who breaks first, and when they break, do not punish them. Study them, because the first break is your first piece of data. When people break the silence, they usually do it in one of 3 ways. Each break style exposes their motive, and once you can label the style, you stop getting hypnotized by the words. The first style is the pleader. The pleader breaks silence by offering comfort, apology, or emotional glue. They do not want a conflict. They want relief. They want the room to return to smoothness. Sometimes they are simply kind, but often they are not being kind to you. they are being kind to their own anxiety. They say, "Are you okay?" Or, "I didn't mean it like that," or, "Let's not make this a big deal." Notice the hidden agenda. They want you to speak so the tension ends. They want you to validate that everything is fine, even if it is not. The pleader's break reveals a fear of friction. That fear is a lever. It makes them reliable, but also easy to steer through guilt. The second style is the dominator. The dominator breaks silence with pressure. They increase volume. They sharpen tone. They demand an answer. They accuse you of being childish, rude, disrespectful, or dramatic. They frame your silence as a wrongdoing so they can pull you back into their tempo. They say, "So you're not going to respond?" Or, "Why are you acting like this?" Or, "Say something. This is not curiosity, it is control." The dominator cannot tolerate uncertainty because uncertainty means they are not in charge. Their break reveals an addiction to immediate compliance. That is valuable information because now you know they will escalate when denied. The third style is the negotiator. The negotiator breaks silence by shifting the frame. They try to bargain, explain, rationalize, or build a story that forces you into agreement. They might soften their language. They might appear logical, but the core is the same. They want to convert your autonomy into a debate. They say, "Let's be reasonable," or "We should talk about this," or "Just explain why you feel that way." Sometimes this is legitimate, but if the moment involves a boundary or an accusation, the negotiator may be trying to extract your blueprint. They want to know what makes you fold, what makes you defend, what makes you chase peace. All three break styles have one thing in common. They are not responding to your words. You have not spoken. They are responding to your lack of availability. That is the point. Because availability is what most people use to measure power. When they cannot access you on demand, they feel smaller, they feel uncertain, and that uncertainty produces behavior. Now you can decide what you are dealing with. If the pleader breaks, you are dealing with someone who fears discomfort. If the dominator breaks, you are dealing with someone who craves control. If the negotiator breaks, you are dealing with someone who wants leverage through information. You do not need to hate them. You need to place them correctly. And here is the part most men miss. Once you recognize the break style, you must not reward it. If you immediately soothe the pleader, submit to the dominator, or over-explain to the negotiator, you teach them that their break works. You teach them that pressure produces access. Instead, you respond with calm structure. One sentence, neutral tone, no emotional donation. You are not buying certainty for them. You are collecting data. The vacuum test is simple. You withdraw your usual reaction and observe the behavior that rushes in to replace it. But it must be used with precision. If you do it theatrically, you turn it into a game. If you do it constantly, you look unstable. The skill is using it when the moment already contains manipulation. There are 3 environments where this works immediately. The first is the group setting. Groups run on social proof. People watch each other to decide what is safe to say and who is safe to target. A cheap shot in a group is rarely about humor. It is about permission. The attacker is asking the room, "Can I step on him?" If you react fast, you give the room entertainment. If you defend yourself, you become the subject. If you laugh too hard, you signal that you will tolerate it. Silence kills the entertainment. It forces the room to feel the attack as awkward instead of funny. Now the attacker has to carry their own behavior. In group settings, your silence should be short, clean, and followed by continuation. 2 seconds. Eye contact. Then you continue the conversation as if nothing happened. This tells the room, "That did not move me." It also tells the attacker, "You do not control the tempo." The room adjusts. The second is the workplace. Workplace manipulation hides inside professionalism. People use politeness as a blade. They interrupt, diminish, assign blame, or push extra labor, then smile as if it is normal. If you react emotionally, you look unprofessional. If you accept it silently, you become the worker they can farm. The vacuum test here is a pause followed by a procedural response. When someone makes an unfair request, you do not rush to justify why you cannot. You pause. You look at the request as if you are reading a document. Then you say one sentence like, "I will get back to you," or "That is not possible," or "Send that in writing." The pause is the weapon. The sentence is the boundary. This forces the other person to reveal their intention. If they accept calmly, it was a real request. If they get irritated, it was a power move. If they start pressuring, it was a test. And now you know. The third is relationships. This is where men fail most, because love makes them leak. They rush to fix tension. They rush to explain. They rush to prove. That is why emotional manipulators thrive in intimacy. They do not need force. They just need your reflex. The vacuum test here is not silent treatment. It is refusal to chase. If someone withdraws affection to control you, your instinct is to pursue. Silence breaks that loop. You do not beg. You do not demand reassurance. You do not send paragraphs. You continue your life. Calm, stable. If they return with warmth, good. If they return with accusations, they reveal control. In all three environments, you are not using silence to punish. You are using silence to remove your predictable supply. Most people are not evil. They are conditioned. They learn what works. If you always fill silence, people learn to create tension to make you talk. If you always explain, people learn to ask why until you fold. If you always chase, people learn to withdraw. The vacuum test changes your reputation because it changes what works on you. And when what used to work stops working, the next thing people try is escalation. That escalation is the clearest revelation you will ever get. When you stop reacting, the first response is confusion. The second is pressure. The third is escalation. That escalation is not random. It is a confession. It tells you what the person was trying to extract from you. If they escalate with anger, they were extracting submission. If they escalate with guilt, they were extracting care. If they escalate with sarcasm, they were extracting status. If they escalate with victimhood, they were extracting rescue. Silence makes all of it visible. This is why the most dangerous people hate silence. Not because it is rude, because it removes their tools. A manipulator's tools are tempo, emotion, and narrative. Tempo means they rush you so you cannot think. Emotion means they spike your nervous system so you become reactive. Narrative means they rewrite the meaning of the moment so you feel obligated to prove your innocence. Silence breaks tempo. Silence dulls emotion. Silence delays narrative. And in that delay, their next move becomes louder than any words. You will notice common escalation patterns. One is the flood. They send multiple messages. They add more words, more arguments, more emotional spikes. They create noise to force you into replying. The flood reveals dependence on access. They are not trying to communicate. They are trying to regain control. Another is the provocation. They insult harder. They accuse you of being immature. They question your character. The provocation reveals their belief that your ego is their lever. They assume you cannot tolerate being seen as wrong. They assume you will break to protect your image. Another is the reverse. They flip roles. They claim you are the problem because you are not reacting the way they want. They say you are cold, distant, disrespectful, or selfish. The reverse reveals a demand for emotional labor. They want you to perform comfort even when they created the conflict. And then there is the soft trap. They pretend to be reasonable. They act calm. They say they want to just talk. But the goal is to extract reasons, vulnerabilities, and proof of attachment. The soft trap reveals that their weapon is information. If they can understand what you fear, they can steer you. In all cases, silence is not the final answer. Silence is the filter that reveals which pattern is in front of you. After escalation, you do one thing. You respond with a statement that returns the burden to reality. If you want to talk, We can talk calmly. I am not available for insults. I have made my decision. Notice what you do not do. You do not defend your character. You do not debate their story. You do not explain your feelings as a way to earn permission. You make the condition clear. Then you stop. The goal is not to win the argument. The goal is to see the person's operating system. Because once you see it, you stop wasting years negotiating with someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. Silence makes escalation inevitable, and escalation makes truth obvious. Many men learn silence, then ruin it by speaking wrong after. They either explode, over-explain, or try to sound mysterious. All of those are emotional leaks. The power of silence is completed by the sentence you choose after the pause. You need a response that does three things. It must be short enough that it cannot be argued with line by line. It must be calm enough that it does not reward provocation. It must be structural enough that it changes the rules of the interaction. This is the one-sentence response. Most situations only require one of four sentence types. The boundary sentence. I will not engage with that tone. This is not a debate. I am not available for that. The decision sentence. I have decided that will not happen. No, I will not. The clarification sentence. What do you mean by that? Are you asking or accusing? Say it directly. The exit sentence. I am done with this conversation. We can continue later. I am leaving. Each sentence type has a different purpose. The boundary sets conditions. The decision ends negotiation. The clarification forces precision, which kills passive aggression. The exit protects your time. The key is that you do not stack sentences. Most men lose power because they talk in paragraphs. Paragraphs create handles. Handles get pulled. A single sentence is hard to grip, and timing matters. When someone tries to bait you, the pause is the first blow, the sentence is the second. If you pause and then speak in a calm single line, you create a phenomenon. You look untriggerable. People feel that. Even enemies feel it. Then you stop. You do not fill the air. You do not chase closure. You let the vacuum return. This is where people break, because the one-sentence response gives them no material to wrestle. They cannot debate it. They can only reveal themselves. If they accept it, they were reasonable. If they argue with it, they were attempting control. If they mock it, they were attempting status. If they guilt it, they were attempting emotional leverage. Your calm sentence is the gate. Their reaction is their identity. But there is a deeper layer. Silence and one sentence are not only defensive tools, they are offensive intelligence tools. They allow you to read the room like a map. You start noticing who respects boundaries without drama. You start noticing who escalates when denied. You start noticing who immediately goes to shame and character attacks. You start noticing who cannot stand not being the center. This becomes a system. Silence. Pause. One sentence. Stop. Do that consistently, and something changes in your life. People begin to self-select. The mature stay. The unstable leave. The manipulators expose themselves quickly instead of slowly over months. That is not loneliness. That is purification. And once your environment becomes quieter, your results become louder. Once you understand silence as a diagnostic tool, you stop using it randomly. You use it to answer specific questions. Who is loyal? Who is threatened? Who is needy? Who is deceptive? Who is safe? Most men walk into rooms and rely on words. That is why they get played. Words are easy to manufacture. Behavior under uncertainty is harder to fake. Silence creates uncertainty, so it exposes behavior. When you go quiet, watch for 5 signals. First, who rushes to fill the gap? This person may be anxious, but they may also be controlling. Notice whether their filling is soothing or pressuring. Soothing means they cannot tolerate discomfort. Pressuring means they cannot tolerate not being in charge. Second, who tries to recruit others? This is the social operator. They use the group to control you. If you do not respond, they will look for laughter, agreement, or moral support. They want to isolate you, then force you to defend yourself to the crowd. This person is not your friend in a power sense, even if they smile. Third, who stays calm and lets it sit. This is usually the highest value person in the room. They do not panic. They do not perform. They do not need to manage your emotions. They have their own center. These are the people you can build with. Fourth, who starts rewriting the story. They say, "You're overreacting," or "You're being weird," or "Why are you doing this?" even though you have done nothing. This is narrative control. They are training the room to see you as the problem so they can escape accountability. This is a red flag, not because it is evil, but because it is strategic. Fifth, who watches quietly. These are the observers. They do not reveal much, but they take notes. They are either cautious or calculating. You do not assume they are good or bad. You simply keep your exposure low until you see patterns. Now you might ask, what do you do with this information? You adjust access. Access is the real currency. Not arguments, not explanations. Access. The calm ones get more access. The recruiting ones get less. The narrative ones get minimal. The pressuring ones get firm boundaries. The observers get time, because time reveals what silence cannot. This is how you build a circle that does not drain you. Most men try to fix relationships with more communication. That often fails because communication does not change incentives. Access does. Silence changes incentives because it removes easy access. When you stop being instantly available, people must decide whether they respect you or only wanted control. When you stop rescuing tension, people must manage their own emotions. When you stop chasing, people must earn your presence. This is not cruelty. This is calibration. And once you calibrate, you can finally focus on what matters: execution, craft, money, health, progress. The greatest benefit of silence is not social dominance. It is the return of your attention. If you want silence to work, you need one final rule. Silence is not the move. Access is the move. Silence only reveals who deserves what level of you. So you need an access protocol, simple enough to execute under pressure. 3 levels. Level 1 is full access. These people respect pace. They don't demand instant reactions. They don't punish boundaries. With them, you can be warm and open because they don't use it as leverage. Level 2 is limited access. These people are not evil, but they're unsafe under tension. They plead, pressure, or negotiate when you go quiet. You keep it polite, but you keep it contained. Short replies, clear logistics, no emotional detail. Level 3 is no access. These are the punishers, the ones who escalate when denied, recruit the room, rewrite the story, or attack your character to regain control. With them, silence becomes permanent, not to hurt them, to protect your time. And notice what this eliminates. You stop having the same argument 6 times. You stop explaining boundaries to people who benefit from ignoring them. You stop trying to be understood by someone who is only trying to manage you. Silence gives you the data. Access is the consequence. That is how you stay warm without becoming available on demand. Now, here's what all of this means. Why the room starts calculating the moment you hesitate, and why the first person to break is giving you a full report. You finally understand what was really happening. It was never about the words. It was about the measurement. Every time you hesitated, every time you stayed still, every time you refused to perform a reaction, you forced a choice in other people. They could respect your pace, or they could try to seize it. And the way they responded to your silence told you everything you needed to know about their motive. That is why silence works. Not because it looks confident, because it interrupts the script people use to manage you. The pleader wants relief. The dominator wants compliance. The negotiator wants your blueprint. And the moment you stop feeding them, their next move becomes a confession. Pressure, guilt, mockery, be reasonable, story rewriting, recruiting the room. None of it is random. It is the nervous system revealing its strategy. So don't turn this into a persona. Turn it into a filter. Pause when the bait is thrown. Say one sentence when structure is required. Then stop. And the only thing you do next is adjust access. The calm ones get more of you. The pressuring ones get less. The ones who punish your silence get none, not out of revenge, out of precision. Because the man who can be pulled into reaction can be pulled into decisions, and once that pattern exists, it gets used again and again. So the next time you feel that urge to clear things up, to prove you're not weak, to fix the tension just so the room relaxes, recognize what it is. That urge is the leash. Let it go slack. Say nothing. Watch who breaks first. Then ask a better question than, how do I respond? Ask, what did they just reveal? Because once you start reading that correctly, you don't need to win every interaction. You simply stop giving the wrong people a way to move you.